Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Cropper here. Quick video on the subject of the great Christian temples. Now today, if the Mormons admit themselves to be Christians, and they do believe in the Bible, they have magnificent temples, and they build them all about the place, and you have to get into them, and there are secret handshakes and bizarre things that go on inside, and these are massive, very expensive structures, and certainly not as expensive to the community as the great cathedrals of the Dark Ages were. So, no matter how far back you go, right even back into Roman times with the catacombs, which were churches that had to be hidden from the prying eyes of the Roman the authorities. Clear back then you had temples of one kind or another for places to worship, but they became very, very ostentatious over time. Culminating in what we have today is just taken for granted. You have really nice, expensive, up-to-date church houses, and then you have really, really expensive temples. That's the Roman and the, many, many different churches follow this. Now you have to have a place to worship, right? But is the place to worship the house of the Lord? That's what they always say in the Mormon church. This is the house of the Lord. So let's talk about that from the Acts in the New Testament. From chapter 17, a section called Paul on Mars Hill. It says, the word of Christ is no longer Mr. Cropper. We depart here slightly. God dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worshipped with men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing that he giveth to all life and breath and all things. Now that should be inscribed above the entrance to every church and every temple. God dwelleth not in temples made with hands. Acts chapter 17, verse 24. Let me back up and do it from verse 22, Paul on Mars Hill. Then Paul stood in the midst of Mars Hill, and said, Ye men of Athens, I perceive that in all things ye are too superstitious. For as I passed by and beheld your devotions, I found an altar with this inscription to the unknown God, whom therefore ye ignorantly worship. Him I declare unto you. God that made the world and all things therein, seeing that he is Lord of heaven and earth, dwelleth not in temples made with hands, neither is worshipped with men's hands, as though he needed anything, seeing he giveth to all life and breath and all things. Next time you go to church, remember, God dwelleth not in temples made with hands. Now, the reason he doesn't dwell in temples made with hands is actually because he doesn't exist, but that's all the same.